Sometimes, one tiny mistake can change your entire life. Emily Parker whispered to herself as she stared at her laptop screen, a small, tired smile on her face. She had spent the entire morning juggling her work-from-home tasks while trying to keep her 6-month-old daughter, Lily, entertained, bouncing her gently on her knee as she typed emails and managed schedules. Emily's apartment in Brooklyn was modest but cozy, with sunlight streaming through the windows and casting soft patterns across the living room floor, highlighting toys scattered around like tiny reminders of the life she was building. Being a single mom wasn't easy. Some days felt like an endless balancing act, and yet, she wouldn't trade it for anything. Every coo, every little giggle from Lily reminded her why she pushed through exhaustion and long nights. Today, she had a simple goal: share a cute photo of Lily with her close friends and family to brighten their morning. She carefully selected the picture, a candid shot of Lily in a tiny yellow onesie, eyes wide with curiosity as she reached for a colorful rattle, and attached it to a cheerful email. Emily typed a short note. "Good morning. Thought you could use a little smile today," and double-checked the recipients, her finger hovering over the send button, making sure everyone was included. But amidst the morning chaos, her tired eyes misread one of the email addresses. Instead of sending it to her sister, it went to someone she barely knew, a man she had only met once through a distant acquaintance at a charity event. That man was Ryan Mitchell, a billionaire with a reputation for perfection, someone whose life seemed untouchable and meticulously planned. Emily had no idea that a simple slip of the finger would catapult both of their worlds into a whirlwind of unexpected events. As she clicked send, she leaned back in her chair, sighing with relief, imagining the smiles on her friends' faces. She never imagined that on the other side of the screen, Ryan would glance at his phone during a hectic morning meeting, tap open the email, and see Lily's innocent eyes staring back at him. In that split second, something stirred in Ryan, a fleeting sense of curiosity, a spark of warmth in a life usually dominated by deadlines, contracts, and public appearances. Meanwhile, Emily returned to her daily tasks, unaware that a single click had just rewritten the script of her life, setting the stage for a story neither of them could have predicted. And as she hummed a soft tune while rocking Lily in her arms, she had no idea that today's ordinary morning would soon become the extraordinary beginning of an entirely new chapter. Emily Parker spent the rest of her morning moving between feeding Lily, folding laundry, and responding to work emails, her mind half on her tasks and half on the fleeting sense of relief that came from sending the photo. She did not realize that a single message had entered the orbit of someone whose life was polished, planned, and powerful, and that small action would ripple in ways she could not predict. Across the city, Ryan Mitchell sat in his high-rise office overlooking Manhattan, a stark contrast to Emily's warm and cluttered Brooklyn apartment, and he could not get the image of the tiny baby out of his mind. He was a man used to making precise decisions, calculating risks, and controlling outcomes. Yet the simplicity and honesty in the photo sparked a curiosity he had not felt in years, and he found himself momentarily forgetting his meticulously scheduled day, his upcoming meetings, and even the wedding that was supposed to happen in less than a week. Ryan glanced again at the email, noting the mistake that had delivered the photo to him and not to some intended recipient, and despite the brief hesitation, he felt compelled to know more. Meanwhile, Emily, unaware of the stir she had caused, prepared Lily for a nap, humming softly while tucking her into a small crib beside her bed, and she allowed herself a quiet moment to breathe, thinking about her own ambitions and how she wanted a stable future for herself and her daughter. Her thoughts wandered to what life might be like if someone offered support, not just financial, but emotional, a partner who could understand the weight of her daily responsibilities, but she pushed it aside, dismissing it as a daydream. Yet, unbeknownst to her, Ryan was already making plans to step out of the predictable routine of his life, considering an unexpected detour that began with a small, accidental photo of a baby. The juxtaposition of their worlds, the warmth, modesty, and intimacy of Emily's apartment against the sleek, high-powered environment of Ryan's office, highlighted the differences in their daily lives, yet the connection sparked by the photograph hinted at how lives so disparate could intersect in surprising ways. As Emily watched Lily drift off to sleep, she checked her emails once more, noticing nothing out of the ordinary, unaware that one of the most unusual and potentially life-changing exchanges had already begun, and she carried on with her day, folding laundry and organizing meals, while Ryan, in the corner office of his glass tower, considered a journey into the unknown, one that began with the simple gaze of a baby and the accidental click of a send button, and that small, unplanned moment was about to set both of their lives on a path neither could have anticipated. Emily Parker had just finished tidying up the small kitchen, wiping down the counters, and stacking dishes in the dishwasher, when her phone buzzed insistently on the counter. She picked it up, expecting another routine message from a friend or a reminder from work, but the name that appeared on the screen made her pause and her heart skip a beat. It was Ryan Mitchell, the billionaire whose life she had only glimpsed from news articles and social media mentions, and who now had somehow reached out directly to her. Her fingers hovered over the screen for a moment, uncertainty and a flicker of excitement battling inside her, as she debated whether to respond immediately or take a moment to breathe and think. The apartment felt suddenly smaller, the afternoon light stretching across the floor as Lily stirred in her crib, sensing the shift in Emily's energy. She took a deep breath, adjusting Lily's blanket, and typed a short, cautious response, trying to keep her tone polite and professional while hiding the flutter of curiosity that had taken hold. Across the city, Ryan sat in his office, overlooking the bustling streets. Below, watching the traffic flow like veins of a living organism, and he wondered what it would feel like to step out of his controlled routine and into an unplanned, unpredictable encounter. His curiosity about Emily and the unexpected photo had grown into a persistent thought, pulling him away from spreadsheets, contracts, and calls, and into a quiet space where he considered the possibility of meeting someone entirely different from his usual social circles, someone whose life was grounded in simple routines and heartfelt responsibilities. Emily read his message again, feeling a mixture of disbelief and intrigue, thinking about the contrast between their lives, the unpredictability of the connection that had been sparked by a single accidental email, and the possibility that this could be the beginning of something that neither of them had anticipated. She glanced at Lily one more time, her little hands curled around the soft blanket, and realized that while her life was full of challenges and responsibilities, it also contained moments of unexpected joy and connection, like this one, arriving quietly yet insistently into her day. Ryan, considering the tone and wording of her reply, felt a rare smile forming, a sense of anticipation that was unfamiliar yet welcome, and he imagined the possibility of stepping out of his polished world to encounter someone whose priorities, values, and everyday life were entirely different from his own, yet compellingly real. Both of them, in their respective spaces, carried a sense of tension and curiosity, the invisible threads of connection growing stronger with each message exchanged, each thought about the other lingering in the corners of their minds, until what had started as a simple, accidental email began to feel like the first chapter of a story neither of them could have predicted, and yet both were quietly eager to see where it might lead. The following morning, Emily Parker awoke to the soft sound of Lily cooing from her crib, the sunlight spilling gently across the bedroom floor, and she stretched, feeling a mixture of anticipation and nervousness. She had spent the previous evening pondering the messages exchanged with Ryan Mitchell, the billionaire who had unknowingly become part of her daily thoughts, and she wondered what would come next. After preparing breakfast and feeding Lily, she settled into the small nook by the window with her laptop, carefully reviewing her schedule and mentally preparing herself for the possibility of further communication. At the same time, Ryan sat in his sleek office, the early light glinting off the glass panels that framed the cityscape, thinking about Emily with a rare, lingering attention, his usual focus on business momentarily replaced by curiosity and a desire to understand the woman who had captured his thoughts so unexpectedly. Their email exchange had been brief but filled with subtle hints of personality, warmth, and honesty, qualities Ryan rarely encountered in his social and professional circles, and he found himself considering a way to meet Emily in person, though he hesitated, mindful of the stark contrast between their worlds. Emily checked her inbox repeatedly, her heart racing each time a notification appeared, And when a new message from Ryan arrived suggesting a casual meeting at a local cafe in Brooklyn, she felt a wave of excitement mixed with apprehension, wondering how this encounter might unfold. She prepared herself, dressing simply yet neatly, making sure Lily was comfortable and entertained, and rehearsed polite conversation in her mind while acknowledging that the unpredictability of the meeting was part of the allure. Ryan, on the other side of the city, prepared to leave his high-rise office, adjusting his suit jacket and reminding himself that this was not a business meeting but an encounter that could lead to understanding, connection, or simply an interesting story. When they finally arrived at the quiet, sunlit cafe, the gentle hum of morning activity around them, both felt a mixture of curiosity and hesitation. Emily held Lily close, observing the people passing by, and Ryan approached, offering a polite smile that conveyed both sincerity and the intrigue that had drawn him here. They exchanged greetings, their voices calm and tentative, the initial awkwardness softened by shared smiles and the presence of the small child, whose innocent curiosity seemed to bridge the gap between their very different lives. Over coffee, conversation began to flow, tentative at first, but gradually growing warmer and more genuine as they shared stories of daily routines, aspirations, and the unexpected turns that life had delivered to them. Emily found herself laughing softly at Ryan's honest observations about the challenges of a high-profile life, while Ryan was captivated by Emily's resilience, her humor, and the evident love she poured into caring for Lily. As the morning sunlight streamed through the windows, both realized that what had begun as a simple, accidental email had become the start of a meaningful connection, a reminder that the most unexpected encounters could carry the greatest potential to change their lives. As the days passed, Emily Parker and Ryan Mitchell continued their tentative interactions, their conversations growing longer, more open, and filled with the subtle humor and honesty that neither had expected to find in the other. Emily found herself sharing small details about her daily life with Lily, the joys and frustrations of raising a child on her own, and the small victories that often went unnoticed by anyone outside her apartment. Ryan listened attentively, genuinely interested, and often responded with thoughtful observations or anecdotes from his own world, a life filled with luxury and influence, yet tempered by isolation and routine. Their meetings moved from the quiet cafe to strolls through Brooklyn parks, where Lily toddled along beside them, giggling at the smallest discoveries, and the city around them seemed to fade into a gentle backdrop for the unfolding connection. Emily noticed that Ryan's demeanor had softened, the usual intensity replaced by a warmth that made her feel seen and understood, while Ryan began to appreciate the simple, grounded perspective Emily brought into his life, a reminder that there were aspects of living and loving that no business deal or public appearance could replicate. Friends of Emily began to notice the changes too, commenting on the renewed spark in her eyes, the lighter tone in her voice, and the way she seemed more at ease as she navigated her responsibilities. Ryan, meanwhile, found himself canceling some appointments and rearranging schedules, drawn more to the possibility of personal connection than the predictable flow of corporate obligations. The photo that had started this unexpected journey remained a symbol in their conversations, a gentle reminder of how something small and accidental could open doors to unforeseen opportunities and emotional growth. Emily began to feel a cautious excitement, aware of the potential for disappointment, but unwilling to suppress the hope that this connection might evolve into something enduring. Ryan felt a similar tension, balancing curiosity with the awareness of his own reputation and the complexities that a new relationship could entail, yet he was willing to take the risk, intrigued by Emily's authenticity and the comfort he found in her presence. As they shared afternoons watching Lily explore the world around her, laughing at her antics and marveling at her milestones, both Emily and Ryan realized that the simple joys of these ordinary moments held profound significance, a sense of belonging and mutual respect that neither had anticipated but both cherished deeply. Their bond grew steadily, each interaction reinforcing the quiet understanding that life's unexpected turns could lead to meaningful, transformative experiences, and that trust, patience, and genuine care formed the foundation of a connection far more valuable than any calculated plan or social expectation. Emily Parker sat at the kitchen table, a cup of steaming coffee warming her hands as she watched Lily play with a small stack of building blocks, and she reflected on the whirlwind of events that had unfolded over the past few days. The accidental photo, once a simple act meant to share a smile with friends, had blossomed into something she had never imagined, a connection with Ryan Mitchell that brought both excitement and a careful consideration of the realities in her life. She marveled at how quickly her emotions had shifted, how she found herself thinking about Ryan during the quiet moments of her day, and yet she remained grounded, aware of her responsibilities and the need to protect the small bubble of stability she had created for Lily. Meanwhile, Ryan prepared for another day in his office, the city stretching endlessly beyond the glass windows, and he could not shake the image of Emily and Lily from his mind. Her laughter, the warmth in her voice, and the honesty she carried in every word spoke to a part of him that had been dormant, a longing for connection and authenticity that his structured life rarely allowed. Ryan began to notice subtle changes in his own routine, moments where he paused to think not about contracts, meetings, or public appearances, but about small gestures of kindness, shared smiles, and the way a single photograph could disrupt a carefully planned world and introduce a new perspective that felt both refreshing and profound. Emily, feeling a mixture of anticipation and nervousness, decided to invite Ryan for a casual afternoon visit, hoping that the presence of Lily would offer a natural bridge between their lives and allow conversation to flow with ease. Ryan accepted with quiet enthusiasm, arranging his schedule to accommodate the meeting while feeling an unfamiliar thrill at the prospect of stepping into a world so different from his own. When he arrived at Emily's apartment, the sight of her managing the simple tasks of daily life with patience and love, and the sight of Lily's wide, curious eyes greeting him with a small, delighted squeal, reminded Ryan that meaningful moments were often found in simplicity, in laughter, and in shared human connection. They spent the afternoon talking about their hopes, fears, and dreams, navigating the balance between personal history and the possibility of something new, discovering a mutual respect that grew steadily with every exchanged story, every shared smile, and every quiet observation. Emily felt herself relaxing in a way she had not experienced in years, comforted by Ryan's attentiveness and sincerity, while Ryan recognized that the walls he had built around himself were softening, allowing a genuine bond to emerge, untainted by pretense or expectation. By the end of the visit, both were acutely aware of the significance of the moment, the subtle yet undeniable shift in their lives, and the promise that careful patience, honesty, and shared experiences could create a connection that would continue to grow, bringing warmth, trust, and hope into their respective worlds. Emily Parker and Ryan Mitchell found themselves walking along the tree-lined streets of Brooklyn that afternoon, the spring air carrying a gentle warmth that contrasted with the crispness of the morning, and Lily toddled ahead, her laughter ringing out like a small melody that seemed to weave through the city around them. Emily kept a careful eye on Lily while glancing at Ryan, noticing the ease in his posture, the rare openness in his expressions, and the way his attention shifted effortlessly between the child and their conversation. Ryan, for his part, was captivated by Emily's natural grace, the quiet confidence she exuded in managing her world, and the effortless warmth she brought into even the simplest moments. Their conversation flowed more freely with each passing block, moving from small talk to reflections on life, family, and the unexpected turns that had brought them together, and both were struck by the ease with which their thoughts and feelings seemed to resonate with each other. Emily felt a new sense of balance as she shared stories about her childhood, her dreams for Lily, and the quiet victories she celebrated each day, and Ryan listened with genuine curiosity, occasionally sharing anecdotes from his own life that revealed vulnerabilities and experiences rarely exposed to others. Lily's delighted squeals occasionally punctuated the conversation, and Emily laughed softly, feeling the simplicity of joy in watching her daughter explore, while Ryan found himself smiling more than he had in years, noticing that these ordinary moments carried a depth that no business meeting or social gathering had ever offered. As they paused on a small bench under the shade of a blossoming tree, Emily rested her hand on Lily's shoulder and glanced at Ryan, realizing that the connection between them had grown into something quietly profound, built not on grand gestures, but on understanding, empathy, and the willingness to engage with honesty. Ryan felt a similar awareness, acknowledging that the walls of routine, expectations, and carefully curated life had softened, allowing a space for something new and genuine to take root. And he recognized that Emily's grounded nature and the love she showed for Lily created an environment that encouraged openness, trust, and warmth. The afternoon drifted into evening, the city lights beginning to twinkle as they continued their stroll, and both Emily and Ryan felt a shared anticipation, a curiosity about where this unfolding bond might lead while appreciating the present, the unforced laughter, the shared glances, and the mutual understanding that had grown naturally between them. By the time they returned to Emily's apartment, both carried a quiet sense of fulfillment, a recognition that a single moment, an accidental photograph, had initiated a journey neither had expected, yet one that had created the possibility of lasting friendship, trust, and perhaps the gentle beginning of something far more meaningful. As the evening settled over Brooklyn, Emily Parker prepared a simple dinner for herself and Lily, the soft hum of the city outside blending with the gentle clatter of utensils and the occasional coo from her daughter. She reflected on the days that had passed, the unexpected warmth that Ryan Mitchell had brought into her life, and the sense of balance she felt when he was near, a balance that contrasted sharply with the constant juggling of responsibilities that had once defined her every moment. Ryan arrived shortly after, carrying a small bouquet of flowers he had picked up on the way, and Emily felt a flutter of appreciation at the thoughtful gesture, a reminder that even small actions could convey genuine care and attentiveness. They sat together at the modest dining table, Lily nestled between them, and conversation flowed easily, filled with laughter, shared observations about the day, and reflections on experiences that shaped who they were. Ryan found himself admiring Emily's patience, her ability to maintain grace under pressure, and the warmth she exuded not only toward him, but toward Lily, a presence that seemed to illuminate the apartment and create a sense of home. Emily noticed Ryan's ease in the simple domestic setting, a side of him rarely glimpsed in public, and she felt a growing respect for the man who could navigate the pressures of a high-profile life, yet still engage with authenticity and kindness. As they cleared the dishes together, Lily's curiosity kept them moving from room to room, her laughter drawing them into playful interactions that felt natural and unforced, and both Emily and Ryan recognized the quiet joy that arose from these shared moments, the small, yet meaningful experiences that built trust and deepened connection. Later, as they settled into the living room with Lily asleep in her crib, Emily and Ryan spoke in low tones, sharing personal stories, hopes for the future, and reflections on the paths that had led them to this point, acknowledging both the surprises and the uncertainties that life had delivered. The conversation deepened their understanding of each other, reinforcing the mutual respect, empathy, and genuine affection that had grown steadily over the past days. And both sensed that their bond was no longer fragile or tentative, but had taken root in shared experiences, emotional honesty, and the patience required to nurture trust. The evening stretched into quiet moments of reflection, punctuated by soft laughter and thoughtful pauses, and Emily realized that the initial curiosity sparked by a simple photograph had evolved into a meaningful and enduring connection, while Ryan recognized that the unexpected path they were walking together held the promise of ongoing discovery, comfort, and companionship. As they bid goodnight, the city lights casting a gentle glow through the windows, both carried a sense of anticipation for the future, aware that the foundation of their relationship was built on authenticity, shared joy, and a growing sense of belonging that neither had anticipated but both cherished deeply. The following morning, Emily Parker awoke to the soft light filtering through her bedroom window, Lily already babbling happily from her crib, and she felt a deep sense of contentment as she stretched and prepared for the day. The past weeks had brought a transformation in her life that she had never anticipated, a sense of connection and support that filled her heart with both joy and a quiet reassurance. As she fed Lily breakfast and tidied the apartment, her thoughts drifted to Ryan Mitchell, recalling the moments of laughter, conversation, and shared understanding that had become part of their daily rhythm. Ryan, on his side of the city, prepared for his day with a calm focus, the memories of recent afternoons spent with Emily and Lily bringing a rare warmth to his normally structured routine. Their meetings had grown from tentative encounters into moments of genuine connection, where honesty, patience, and empathy guided every interaction, and both had begun to rely on the sense of trust and companionship that had quietly developed between them. Later that morning, Ryan arrived at Emily's apartment carrying a small assortment of groceries, intending to help with lunch preparations, and Emily greeted him with a warm smile, noting the ease with which their worlds now intertwined, each small gesture reinforcing the partnership and understanding that had grown naturally. They worked together in the kitchen, chopping vegetables and sharing stories, laughter punctuating the gentle rhythm of their activity, while Lily explored nearby with curiosity and delight, her presence a constant reminder of the responsibilities and joys that Emily navigated daily. As they sat down to enjoy the meal, conversation shifted to plans for the weekend, hopes for future projects, and reflections on the unexpected turns that had led them to this moment. With both acknowledging the significance of trust, shared experiences, and emotional honesty in forging a bond that felt secure yet full of possibility. Emily felt a growing sense of optimism, recognizing that the foundation they had built could support a future filled with laughter, mutual respect, and the quiet joys of everyday life. While Ryan appreciated the depth of connection that came from understanding and appreciating the simplicity and authenticity of Emily's world. In the afternoon, they took a walk with Lily through a nearby park, watching as she ran between patches of sunlight and shadows, laughing freely, and both Emily and Ryan felt a profound sense of fulfillment in witnessing her happiness and knowing they were creating a nurturing environment together. As the day drew to a close, Emily reflected on the remarkable journey from a single accidental photograph to the meaningful, enduring connection she now shared with Ryan, understanding that life's surprises often carried the greatest potential for growth, joy, and unexpected companionship, and Ryan, observing Emily's gentle interactions with Lily, felt a rare and satisfying sense of purpose, realizing that the chance encounter that had begun with a simple photo had blossomed into a relationship, built on care, trust, and the promise of shared future experiences that neither of them could have imagined, but both now embraced wholeheartedly.